All right, we got 4 John Wick films, a spin-off Continental TV show, and now a spin-off movie focusing on the Ballerina. Does it hold up to the rest of the franchise? Let's talk about it. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. From the world of John Wick Ballerina, guys, when this was first announced, I gotta be honest with you, I really wasn't just excited looking forward to it, but when we got closer to the release date, once they started dropping trailers, I was like, okay, this seems fire. I'm excited. Let's go ahead and get into this. Now, this is being directed by Mr. Len Wiseman. This is what the gentleman looks like right here. Producer, writer, director. When we scroll down and look at his filmography, you will see that he has been part of the Underworld franchise when that came out early in the 2000s. I was a big fan of that franchise, but as far as directing credits go, he did Swamp Thing, TV series, The Gifted, Lucifer, Sleepy Hollow, Total Recall. You can see everything on the screen right here. Live Free or Die Hard. I remember, of course, when that came out, but I don't think I saw that one. I think that's the only Die Hard movie I have not seen. But if you are a fan of Mr. Len Wiseman and seen any of his work, please let me know down in the comment section below. But like I said, initially I wasn't super duper excited about it, but when we got up to the release, I was. The trailers looked great. I wasn't expecting much other than I just wanted to have a good time. I wanted some kick-ass action. I wanted the plot to make sense in the story and all that good stuff, but was I really expecting it to be as good as the John Wick films? Well, to be honest with you, after a while, yes. I did get a bit worried at one point because I heard they had to come in and do a ton of reshoots by Chad Stahelski. He is the gentleman that was responsible for all the other previous John Wick films. But there have been plenty of films in Hollywood where they had to come in and do a ton of reshoots and the film actually turned out being pretty good. So I was hoping that was going to be the case here. And also, with this film taking place in between John Wick 3 and 4, I was really curious on how they was going to handle that story. So before I get into all the nitty gritty, before I talk about all my likes and dislikes, let me tell you exactly what this film from the world of John Wick Ballerina is all about. An assassin trained in the traditions of the Roma organization sets out to seek revenge after her father's death. Now, off top, anytime you have a character that's out for revenge because they lost a loved one, someone that's close to them, whether that was their family or their friend, it's gonna be really easy for the audience to attach themselves to that character, wanting them to win, wanting them to survive, rooting for their success. And that's the case here. We have the titular character, Eve, the ballerina, played by Ana de Armas. And with her, you know, I'm a casual fan. She's pretty dope in other projects that I've seen her in, and she's great here. If we did not like her character, this movie would not have worked at all. But she's very, very likable. You empathize with her character, you sympathize with her character. You really want her to succeed and get these bad guys that murder her father, because that's just not right. Anybody in their right mind would want to go after somebody that took out their father. So that's a plus right there. Another great thing about this film is the world, the universe of John Wick. This does feel like a John Wick film. I will say with the Continental that was on Peacock, which was a prequel to all the John Wick films, to where it has the character Winston as he's young of age and coming up. That was entertaining. I did like it overall, but it didn't necessarily feel like it was part of the John Wick universe. It kind of felt like it was its own separate thing. Still enjoyable, but just really didn't have that juicy connective tissue, or the feeling at least, that I would have wanted. That's not the case here with Ballerina. It really feels like it's the same filmmakers across the board that made the John Wick films, that made this film right here, Ballerina. And it does feel like John Wick is just around the corner. And so if you're worried about that, put those words aside. That's just another positive in this movie. And just on a personal note, I think the John Wick universe looks really cool. Besides all the death, destruction, and chaos, when these characters are going about their day or night, seeing the city, seeing the town, going to clubs, bars, It seems like a lot of fun. I was saying to myself, hey, if I was still in my going out days, I would want to hit up one of these night spots, one of these venues, and have a good time and turn up a little bit. I just thought that when I was watching this movie and wanted to share it with you guys, because that's just another way that this movie did draw me in. And I just really also want to express how easy this movie is to follow. It takes place after John Wick 3 and before John Wick 4, in between those films. So you might as well call it John Wick 3.5. And there are certain scenes that we remember from John Wick 3 that are in this movie. I think the same exact scene, but also shot from a different perspective, just from a different vantage point. And that's kind of cool too, because you're saying to yourself, oh, I remember that from John Wick 3. Maybe your voice really didn't sound like that, but you're going to remember and say that to yourself, whether it's out loud or in your head. But there was just a few moments where I was like, oh, I remember that from John Wick 3. I remember that part right there. I remember that part right there. That's pretty cool. I like how they tied that up. We're in 2025 right now. John Wick 3 came out 6 years ago in 2019. So I love the connective tissue there. Also, another favorite part of mine in this movie is in the beginning. The first act, when we're showing Eve coming up, training to be an assassin. All of those training montages, all of those sequences was pretty dope. I liked how much detail they gave it. It wasn't just one montage with great music in the background, and then we skip forward 12 years or however many years or months and she's going out on missions. No, they spent a large amount of time showing you how she was when she first came in to the Ruska Roma organization to when she left. It was intense, it was brutal. I was saying to myself, okay, I can understand how she's such a badass if she came from this school of assassins, not just ballerinas, but assassins. That was pretty dope right there. And it wasn't just women either. It was men and women. They had some of the smallest women where they weighed 100 pounds, 120 pounds, fighting these grown men that were like 180, 200, 220 pounds. And that's very effective. But as a woman, you're always going to be weaker. You're always going to be smaller. And that's just not my opinion. That's the movie's opinion. They made sure you was well aware of that point. I love that dialogue too, and also the character that provided it, that delivered that line. That was pretty dope and pretty effective as well. And it was believable. With somebody with this person's size, I can understand how they may not be able to go out and beat up everybody that they come across in the world, but they definitely should be able to handle themselves much more than the average person. They're gonna get a few bodies on their hands. And while I did like Eve, played by Ana de Armas, there was another character there was a number of characters that I liked in this film, but one stood out to me that I was not expecting by the name of Nogi. At the very beginning, when Ana de Armas, when Eve, the ballerina, is going through all these training montages, these sequences, who is training her? This character by the name of Nogi. Real actress name is Sharon Duncan Brewster. I don't necessarily remember her off top, but she was in Dune Part 1, also Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And so if you're familiar with her, if you're a fan of her work, please let me know in the comment section below. But I loved her. She was one of my favorite characters. She was no BS. She was just like, look, you got to do what you got to do to survive, okay? Even if you have to cheat, there are no shortcuts. Life is not easy. Life is hard. If you want to get results, you're going to have to put in the work, and I'm not going to make it easy for you. And we all need somebody like that to kind of kick us in our butt in real life so we don't get complacent, so we don't get soft. And she was that iron forge that helped mold all of these assassins. So very, very effective as well. She also just seemed like a nice, honest person too. Like, okay, what is the truth? Okay, what are we not revealing here that we should, that's gonna help out the situation to everybody that's involved? So I like and respect her. So she was a pretty dope character as well. But we also have Ian McShane back playing Winston, and also Lance Reddick, rest in peace, my guy who was playing Sharon. I think he passed away in 2023 or 24. Please forgive me for that. But they're great. I love seeing them in this as well. Of course, we know them from the John Wick franchise. If they wouldn't going to be in this movie, that would have been a miss in my opinion. So their presence was great. I did enjoy them too. But the main thing that everybody came to see, that we all showed up for, was the action. And my goodness gracious, it was crazy, bonkers, insane. They had every weapon imaginable: guns, knives, swords, axes, skates, all types of assault rifles and sniper rifles and missiles and vehicles. It was ridiculous. And we're talking about grenades too. There was a whole scene dedicated to grenades, and it was crazy. It was explosive. It was bombastic on purpose. And I loved it. I mean, my goodness gracious, I have not seen bodies be wrangled this much in quite some long time. I think the last time I seen something like this was that Rambo movie that came out, I think in like 2007 or something, like where he had this big ass 50 caliber assault rifle gun. I'm probably sure I butchered that, but bodies were just getting torn up, just exploding, and that's how it was in this movie. I loved all the choreography in this movie for the most part, and I'll talk about that in a second. All of the close quarter combat as well, that was pretty dope and well thought out too. I love it when a character uses their environment to their advantage, like they're a ninja. Everything is a weapon that you can see. And when you're trying to survive, when people are trying to kill you, I mean, that makes sense. And so the action in this was super dope. I really did enjoy that. And I think you will too. But guys, that is going to wrap up everything that I did like about this film. Now let me transition to some things that really did not work out for me. And you're going to be surprised by this, but the first thing I did not like about this movie was John Wick. Like, what do you mean, Brandon? How can you not like John Wick? The title of the movie is from the world of John Wick, Ballerina. The reason why I say that is this movie takes place in between John Wick 3 and 4. And if you've seen those films, what is John Wick doing? He is running for his life. He is on the run. He is trying to survive and does not have any time for any extra side missions. So I really don't understand how he had time, how he had the bandwidth to come into this film at the time he did and the way he did and do what he was able to do. That did not make any sense to me whatsoever. I was wondering that because before the film started, I was saying to myself, okay, this takes place between 3 and 4. And I remember exactly what happened at the end of John Wick 3. He fell off the roof of that building and had to be brought back to life. And we really didn't even get to see that at the beginning of John Wick 4. So I really did not like his involvement in this film. He did kick ass. He was able to fight and do all of those lovely things that we love John Wick to do, but it just did not make any logical sense, any plot story sense. And so that's just a thumbs down for me right there. Another thing that I did not like about this movie is it undermines its own threat to where you really have no stakes. At the beginning of this movie, they let you know, oh my gosh, you have bitten off too much that you can chew. And we're talking about Eve here, the ballerina. I need you to stay away. This investigation that you're going on right now, Eve, needs to stop. You don't know what you're getting into. These people do not mess around. This is not just some regular organization that you're looking into. This is a cult, and these people have been around for 200 years, if not longer. If you mess with them, you're most likely going to die. So I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this is just the top dog right here, this League of Assassins. We need to leave them alone. I'm sorry, Eve, okay, this is just too much for you. You're not going to be able to handle yourself. Well, she was. And I'm just like, okay, how can you set it up to where you just have this unstoppable group of people that no one wants to cross, but Eve is able to do this by herself? Even if she has some assistance from another character, AKA John Wick, it's still extremely unrealistic to me. I don't want to get into spoilers, but I may have to. And actually, I'm gonna try my best not to, but I just don't understand how you can talk somebody up as just the biggest bad in the land, and then the next few scenes, they're being taken out like this, left and right, like they're a bunch of toddlers that are throwing temper tantrums. Doesn't really add up to me. I mean, I don't know. It's just a miss right there. Another thing that I did not like is in this film, Eve could have easily been assassinated. She could have easily been taken out. It makes no sense. There was one sequence where you had one character who was in a watchtower. He has all the binoculars, all the telescopes in the world with the radio communicating with everybody in this town. Hey, the threat is still out there loose. We haven't neutralized it. She's over in section B. She's over in section C. She's over in section D. Send men over there, send people to take out the threat. Well, if you're up there in a watchtower and you're able to call out all of Eve's positions, why don't you just pull out a sniper rifle and execute her like this? Why are you not taking advantage of this? This is crazy. I'm watching this movie saying to myself, does anyone else see this? This is a giant plot hole. It makes no sense. What makes matters worse is you had another character in this film that was doing the exact same thing to the opposing side with a sniper rifle, taking them out. So I don't understand why the bad guys couldn't do this with Eve. Oh, I'll tell you why. It's because Eve has plot armor. Because her name is in the title of this movie, she's just automatically invincible. She has to survive to the very end, because if you use your brain and take her out, then we won't have a movie. I mean, it'll be over in 45 minutes. And what are we gonna do there? It's just bad writing. And I don't like that. And what's frustrating is this is the same writers that was a part of John Wick 1, 2, 3, and 4. But for some reason, whether it was their fault or the director, Lynn Wiseman, I mean, it was just a complete miss. Eve is also invincible. She's not gonna die. That was very, very annoying as well. And while she does have the training, there was one scene at the very beginning to where she was getting her ass whooped, rightfully so. And I was like, okay, man, how are you gonna be able to get out of this? I don't know, she just pulls some magic out of her ass, and after getting her ass beat, she just turns into like a Super Saiyan and is able to beat everybody up physically. It's just like, it's just really frustrating. The scene was so bad, I didn't even think it was a real scene. I thought this was like a trial run, like her first mission, like, okay, this is your first mission. We want you to execute X, Y, and Z, do this, retrieve this, and come back, let me know how you did. I didn't even think it was real, but it ended up being real. And I was like, okay, that was completely unrealistic and kind of drew me out. But, you know, hey, it is what it is. I'm going to keep watching the movie. And that was the beginning. But another thing that makes this film so frustrating is with John Wick, okay, they go out of their way to let you know that Eve is great, a great fighter. She can survive. She's an assassin, but she is no John Wick. John Wick is up here and she is somewhere down here. There's also a lot of other skilled people in between here as well, but you know, she's able to take them out with ease. And it's like, if you're making a clear indication that John Wick is here and Eve is down here as far as skill level, how do you expect the audience to believe that she can accomplish all these tasks of being an assassin, being a killer that you're signing her up for? It just really doesn't add up to me. John Wick would have a problem taking out all these foes, but she's a few levels down, but she's able to do it. It's just crazy. Now, even with John Wick 3, I love the John Wick franchise. It's a lot of fun, and hopefully we get a John Wick 5. But admittedly, even with John Wick 3 and 4, things did get a bit ridiculous. And that continues in this film as well. I'm just like, okay, wait a minute. This character should not have survived this long. They should have been dead a long time ago. Still enjoyable fight scenes, but just some of it, they just took it too far. To me, in this film, they're asking you to suspend your disbelief too much to the point where it's just an unrealistic. But guys, that's just how I feel about the movie, how I feel about the film. But remember, it's just my opinion, okay? You may feel different. You may disagree with every point that I made in this video, and that's perfectly fine. It's all subjective. Sometimes it can be objective, but most of the time it is subjective. And I will go ahead and give my rating for this at the very end. But for now, guys, that is just my opinion. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you did like this video, please go ahead and give me the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Help me reach that next milestone of 60,000 subscribers. And before I give my rating, I did ask some people on my channel and I created a poll. Should there be a sequel or a remake / reboot of the 1985 classic Berry Gordy's The Last Dragon? I think so, and just kind of having fun. I was like, hey, should Ryan Coogler or Michael B. Jordan be a part of this? You're looking at the thumbnail right now. After you watch this video, go watch that video. Link is in the description, link is in the pinned comments, and let me know your thoughts. If you're a yes for a reboot, sequel, or remake, or no, you're not. So guys, before we head out of here, if I had to rate from the world of John Wick out of a 1 out of 10, unfortunately, guys, I got to give it a 5.5 out of 10. Yes, a 5.5 out of 10. The movie was fun, but that story and plot just did not work for me and rubbed me the wrong way. But guys, again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery. That's just my opinion. Peace, and I'll see you next time.